I'm recording this video on September 15th, 2021. This is a weekend video. It'll be on Saturday. I want to share something that Steve said that was really, really interesting. Um, and I will share my thoughts on it after he talks about it. So I'm going to play a clip. It's going to be about, 3 or 4 minutes. And then after that, I will share my thoughts on what he said and, you know, everything else. Okay, let's begin.
Type of security in my mind, at least a little bit. So my question is really, it's on margin. I'm not leverage. I'm sitting on cash. Do you envision ever a situation where some of these large brokerage firms are going to have to give yield on that benefit that they are in fact receiving?
Well, look, I think it's your first point about when you're owning stock through a large broker dealer, it's always held in street name. Yes, the broker dealer goes back to you and you have a right to vote it, but your votes don't mean much when you're a few hundred shareholder on an Apple and so forth. So it doesn't really even matter. You have a right, but it's immaterial. But I do think, we both remember the time where brokers used to give you money on your free credit and your free cash sitting in the account. And it's kind of interesting because I think the time, and we're going to change this. This is part of what we're working on with our stock platform with John and Pete and Jarian, is getting yield for consumers on the cash side when they're sitting with cash. In our instance, it's going to be USDC coin, because today the brokers are using that cash to fund those margin balances. So they're making 6, 7, 8% on your cash. Now that just doesn't seem right. It's like banks, giving you 0% and they're lending it out and making 8 to 10%. It's the brokers do the exact same thing. And so we think that model is going to change. And that's why long-term decentralized finance, even in the stock world, is going to happen, because when you're sitting with cash, it's your cash. If you want to use it and lend it to somebody, that's your prerogative. But when the brokers do it today, it kind of flies under the radar because nobody really understands the inner workings of how brokers work. You have to be in the business and understand it. But there was a time brokers used to pay 3, 4, 5% on cash. Now it's obviously zero. So yes, I think we're going to get to that point. We're going to help make that change.
Well, I mean, when you've got a situation, as an example, with GameStop or AMC, where there's a short squeeze, and people don't realize this, but that loan value is huge. And thank you, Mr. Broker, for keeping the yield from me.
Yeah, and as you and I were talking about earlier before we jumped on, is that the brokers are taking that GameStop stock, they're lending it out at these neg rates, and that's what they call it, neg rates, and they're enormous, and they're pocketing all that money. They're not giving it back to the consumer. It's the consumer stock. It's like, it's your stock. If you want it to be lent out, you should be making something on it. That's got to change too. And I think, you know, there's real money to be made in the sharing if you decide to have your stock loaned out. Now, if you're smart, you can go to your brokers and you can request and say, I do not want my stock lent out. And you can say, if I want my stock to be lent, if you're going to lend my stock, I want to make something on it, especially in a cash account. And I do that all the time in my stock trading. Like, do not lend my stock out. Especially, my own stock in Voyager, like, you're not lending that stock out. Trust me, I've seen that happen too. But it's like, you're not lending my stock out, because no one realizes once it's in the possession, even fully paid stock today, brokers will lend that out. So because of all the customer agreements, and I implore everybody to read the customer agreements at some of the biggest online brokers, that they'll lend it out and it's your stock. And that's what the whole thing about crypto, having lived in this world for 27 years now, is that's why I get so excited about where we're going, because it's power back to the people. That's what scares the heck out of the big companies and the government. It's the power back to the people.
Yeah, by the way, even if you're not on margin, even if it's straight cash, right? That's the amazing part.
Yes, go look at your customer agreements if you're at some of the largest corresponding clearing firms, or that other company that went public not that long ago.
No, we won't.
So.
We won't go to naming anybody. So one of the other things that was frankly genius about what you've done is creating the Voyager coin, right? Walk me through.
Okay, so if you want to listen to the rest of that video, you can. But what he said was pretty exciting. So he basically, Steve said that your broker is, let's say you own, Voyager, or let's say you own, Tesla or Apple or whatever stock. Your broker actually has the ability to take those stocks, lend it out to hedge funds so they can short the stock you're holding. That's pretty crazy. I did not know that. I thought that, I didn't, I absolutely did not know that. That is just mind blowing. But they can. And in order for you to stop it, you actually have to call up your broker and be like, you are not allowed to lend out my shares. Not allowed to lend out my stock. Or if you lend out my stock, I want interest on it. You have to basically tell them that in order to get returns back on your stock. So it's pretty crazy what he said. So like in the future, when they start up their brokerage firm with Market Rebellion, are they going to be offering yield on your stock? So if you own Tesla stock in your broker, or you own Apple stock, and you want to have the ability to lend your stock out for short sellers to short the stock, you are getting an interest return from lending out your stock. That would be awesome. That would be game changing. That would probably put the SEC on Voyager's back. But hey, you know what? If they could get away with it, that would be freaking awesome. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Like I didn't know that. And if Voyager does change that, and you have the ability to lend out your stock and get interest back on owning your stock, would be super insane, crazy. And that's basically how the staking works on the Voyager. You basically are lending out your cryptos to shorts, to the money, maybe money market makers, and the market makers are using that, those cryptos to either short or trade it to create volatility in the markets, and in return, you're getting an interest because Voyager is charging an interest for the crypto they're lending out, and they're returning that interest back to the consumers, and that's how you get interest on your cryptos. If that makes any sense, because every day, tokens are rather cryptos are being traded like every single day, and that's that volatility, these market makers are making money off of it, and you have to pay an interest on borrowing these cryptos, Bitcoin or Ethereum, to short it, and Voyager's making money off it. So volatility is actually Voyager's friend. Voyager stock is sitting at $15 right now. I feel like this is an opportunity. I mean, again, it could go down to $14, or it can go down lower. I don't know at the end of the day. I don't know what the market is going to do. I just know that the lower and lower the stock price goes, the more and more of an opportunity it is for, to buy in cheap. I mean, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with Voyager. So, and then on top of that, Voyager's in a blackout period right now, so they can't buy back their stock. But if their stock stays like this and the blackout period is over, then they have the option to buy back some of their shares. So I like Voyager. I think it has potential to be a big giant company in the future. But stocks are basically a voting machine, and you know there's a little pressure on the stock because of the SEC, which creates opportunity. You only make money when you buy when things look really ugly, and you make money when things look awesome. That's when you try to sell and take some profit. Like up here, when stocks skyrocket and go up massively. But now it's like, opportunity, or it could go down further and make even better opportunity. I don't know at the end of the day. And none of this is financial advice, just letting you guys know my thoughts. Anyways, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you don't want to, that's okay too. Bye!